Okay. Okay, so this week's Parsha is Parshas Vayakhel. Vayakhel and Likkutei are seemingly a repetition of Teruma and Tetzaveh. In Teruma and Tetzaveh, Hashem gives Moshe Rabbeinu the command of all the things that have to be built for the Mishkan. And then in Vayakhel and Likkutei is when the Yidden actually do it. But we're going to speak about today 3 differences between Teruma and Vayakhel, and tremendous lessons from the differences, small differences. But before we do that, to introduce the whole thing, we're going to look at the pasuk in Parshas Vayakhel. We're going to see something very interesting. The pasuk says as follows. Take from yourselves a portion for Hashem. Everyone who is generous of heart shall bring it as the gift for Hashem, gold and silver and copper, and then it goes on with the rest of the donations that the Jewish people can bring. So we see 2 different terms. One term is khu. Khu from the word kach. Kach means to take. If I'm coming to take from you, I'm coming to take a donation from you, then it seems like it might even be against your will. I'm coming to collect. I'm coming to take something from you. And that term is the first term when talking about giving donations to the Mishkan. It uses the word khu. Take from yourselves a truma la Hashem, this portion for Hashem. And then it says, Kol nediv libai, everyone who is generous of heart, yivieha es trumas Hashem. Someone who's generous of the heart will bring the truma to Hashem. Bringing means no one's forcing me. Bringing means I am coming voluntarily. I want to give with my heart, and this expression of nediv libai, nidava. Nidava means I want to give. Nidava comes from nidava. Nidava. What is the sherish of the word nidava? I think it means like to volunteer. The English translation is generous of heart. To be generous, to volunteer. Yeah. Mi mitnadev. Who is going to volunteer? So it's not an obligation. Out of the generosity of your heart, you're coming forward.
Choose when you're giving more. When someone's coming to take, you give
right.
And when you're bringing, you're really giving much more.
Right. So when I give, when someone is taking, they're coming to collect a certain amount. This is like a tax or whatever it is. Like this is what's mandatory. And then we have this concept of giving. So the first question is, why is it in the same pasuk you have taking and giving? It seems like 2 opposites. So the answer is that the taking.
7 beats for 3/4 of a mile.
I'm just going to mute. Okay. There was a donation that had to be taken, and there was a donation that was given. The donation that was collected, that was the half a shekel. That was an obligation. So when it says kluma itchem, you should take. This concept of taking, that refers to the machzah shekel, which was actually collected. Someone came and said, "Oh, I'm here to collect the machzah shekel," and the machzah shekel was used the first year for the sockets of the Mishkan, but then the machzah shekel was I'm not sure the first year if it was, because if it was all, it always was for the communal sacrifices for the whole year. That very first year, was it for both? Possibly. So I think it was. So one donation, so there's two obligation donations, which are both machzah shekel. One is for the silver sockets of the Mishkan, and one is for the communal sacrifices, which continued every single year. And then you have another type of donation, which is that you could come with a generous heart and give whatever you want. So we asked, why is there two different expressions? They're seemingly, two different terminologies, and the answer is it's talking about two different types of donations. Okay. So for example, by the kinos, whether it be for the men or for the women, so for the first year when the kinos was established, the Rebbe said that everyone should give a donation, but it should be something symbolic, $36 and not more. Of course, $36 doesn't hardly covers anything, could barely cover one meal. So today, when you sign up for the kinos, you're obligated to give $36. Otherwise, you can't sign up without the $36. That's your obligation. That's the bare minimum. Then they tell you the cost of the kinos is way more expensive than $36 per person. So if you want, out of the generosity of your heart, you could give as much as you want, and it goes for the expenses of the kinos. So you have your obligation. If you don't give an obligation, you can't get in. But then there's, you could be generous and give and give more. Good question.
I thought it did.
Yeah. So again, yes, machzah shekel. If everyone gives machzah shekel, then it covers, yes, the sacrifices. So this example is just trying to show.
I thought it was just for raising X amount.
Right.
This is how much it costs. It wasn't like, oh, we got $200 more to pay down for something else.
Yeah, it was just for the sacrifices. Yeah, it was just for the sacrifices. You're right. So this example that I just gave with the kinos is just to show the difference between obligation and giving voluntarily. Welcome. But hello. Oh, no. So now, okay, I didn't explain. So yes, the machzah shekel, yes, but then you need all the materials to build the Mishkan. When we're saying that everyone could give voluntarily, it wasn't a donation for sacrifices. What we're talking about is actually the gold, the silver, the copper, the turquoise, the scarlet, all the wood, all the necessary materials to build the Mishkan. That's what was voluntary. Okay, I apologize that I didn't say that right away. Okay. Now, if you go to Parshas Teruma, and you see the verse over there where it speaks about bringing the donations, what you'll see is Dabra b'nei Yisrael v'yikchu li truma. You have the word lakachat, which is to take, which we said that's like obligation. Me'es kolish ashar yidvenu libay tikchu as truma. See, again you have lakachat v'zayis truma ashar tikchu. 3 times you have the terminology of taking, that the donation is going to be taking, and you don't even have you don't have anything saying about that people are bringing voluntarily on their own. So our next question is, why is it that in Parshas Teruma we don't see this concept of this donation where you could give voluntarily? Yes, it is hinted out. It is hinted out because if you look into Rashi, it says shalosh trumais amurais kan. There are 3 portions. There's 3 different donations that are brought here. One is the portion of a beka per head, machzah shekel, from which the sockets for the beams and pillars of the Mishkan were made, as stated explicitly in Parshas Likkutei. And one is the portion of the mizbeach, a beka per head placed into the boxes, from which were taken the funds with which to purchase the communal offerings. And one was for the portion of the Mishkan, the contribution of each individual who contributed the 13 items mentioned in this passage. So yes, Rashi comes and tells you, it says Vayakhel 3 times, there's 3 different types of donations, but it does not spell out, it doesn't spell out in the pasuk. You don't see this concept of bringing voluntarily from the words of the pasuk. Only in Parshas Vayakhel do you have you have both the terminology of that someone is going to take from you a donation and the concept of lavi, to bring. So just to summarize, in Parshas Vayakhel, talking about the donations to bring to the Mishkan, you have both terminologies. You have both types. You have someone is going to come and take from you a donation, which is that machatz shekel, which is going to go for the adanim and for the sakits and for the sacrifices. And then there's yivieha, and then there is yivieha, which is that you could bring voluntarily your generous heart, and you're going to bring. And how come in Teruma we don't have this word yivieha, only in Vayakhel? Okay. So to answer this question, we're going to look for another difference between Teruma and Vayakhel. In Teruma, it says, Daber el b'nei Yisrael. Hashem says, V'daber Hashem Moshe Lemar, Daber el b'nei Yisrael. Speak to the children of Israel. That's in Teruma. Turn to Vayakhel. What does it say? It says, Vayomer Moshe el kol adas b'nei Yisrael. Moshe said to the entire assembly of the children of Israel, versus speak to the children of Israel. So this could be an answer. The answer could be that in Parshas Teruma, Hashem is telling Moshe to speak not to all the Yidden, but rather to speak to the people that are going to be in charge of collecting this machatz shekel. So that's why it's all take. It doesn't say bring from your own generous heart. It's take because it's talking to the people and the treasurers. It's talking to the treasurers, the people that are going to collect this machatz shekel and be in charge of the communal funds, to be in charge of buying the sacrifices. So when it says Darol b'nei Yisrael, speak to the Yidden, it's not talking about everyone. It's addressed to the treasurers. It's addressed to the Yidden, to tell them to choose people to be the treasurers to collect the money. It's not talking to everyone. So therefore, it just says take, because here in this parsha, it's about collecting from the Jews the machatz shekel. Versus in Parshas Vayakhel, here we're being introduced to this new type of donation where it's not someone's coming to your door, knocking on your door, collecting something, but rather when a person is coming on their own and choosing out of the generosity of their heart to come and give a donation. Okay. Welcome. Okay, now we have another question. Okay, so we'll just review. Question number 1 is, we're comparing and contrasting Parshas Teruma and Parshas Vayakhel. How come in Parshas Teruma, we only have the terminology of take, which means that there are going to be treasurers that are going to come and collect the machatz shekel, and in Parshas Vayakhel, we also have the concept of bringing on your own. And the second difference was that in Parshas Teruma, it's speaking to Bnei Yisrael, it's not addressing all the Yidden, it's talking to the Bnei Yisrael that they should hire or appoint people to collect machatz shekel, versus Parshas Vayakhel, where Moshe Rabbeinu was speaking to every single Jew, men, women, and children. Okay, so now we have a third question. And that is, Parshas Vayakhel is a repeat of Parshas Teruma. Vayakhel and Likkutei are a repetition of Teruma and Tetzaveh. So Moshe Rabbeinu is not making anything up on his own. Everything that he's saying is coming straight from Hashem. So the original command is in Parshas Teruma. Vayakhel is only repetition. So why is it? How could it be that in Teruma, that's the original time where Hashem speaks? Over there, we don't have this in a clear way the concept that the Jews are going to bring a donation on their own, and we only have it in Vayakhel. Moshe can't just all of a sudden in Parshas Vayakhel add something new or say something on his own. So why is it that in Parshas Teruma we don't see this term of Vayakhel, this concept that Jews can bring a donation out of the generosity of their heart? Go ahead.
Why would it be repeated?
Excellent question, and the answer is going to come. The answer is just going to come. Okay. And you could say that in other cases, it's muvan me'elav. It's understood that everything that Moshe Rabbeinu was going to say, obviously, everything he's saying comes from Hashem. So in Parshas Teruma, not every single detail is there, and later on, the details could be there. But that would be good in a different case. But in this case, Hashem specifies exactly every single detail in Parshas Teruma, every measurement, every color, every detail is in Teruma. So it would have been very easy in Parshas Teruma to just say that there's this concept that you could bring a donation on your own, not that someone's going to come and collect it, and we don't find it. We don't find it in Parshas Teruma. This concept of Yivieha, to bring on your own, we only see it in Vayakhel. And the question is why?
Not really.
You're getting there. Repeat what you said. Right. As soon as you're commanded to do something, as soon as you're commanded and you're forced to do something, right? That's very different than giving a person an opportunity to give on their own. And that's exactly where we're headed. Okay? So to get there, we're going to talk about what is the purpose. What is the purpose of the Mishkan in the first place? Why is it that the Yidden had to build this Mishkan? And the answer, what's the answer? All right, okay, excellent. We're having a dwelling place for Hashem, but for what? But we need to create a dwelling place for Hashem. That's exactly 100% right.
To have a physical visual thing for
to have a physical place for the Yidden to come and to daven and to serve Hashem. But what it was to atone for something. What was it to atone for? It was to atone for the Likkutei Egel. Hey, well, last week we said that to atone for the Likkutei Egel was the Machatz HaShekel. So what's going on this week? Additional, and it could also be that the Machatz HaShekel, you could have two kinds of atonement. You could have an individual atonement, and then you could have a communal atonement. So the Machatz HaShekel is to atone for every single nefesh, for every single soul, and then we have the Machatz HaShekel and the fiery coin, and then you could have the Jewish people as a whole, collectively, an atonement for all the Jewish people together as a whole, which would make sense because a lot of the sacrifices were communal sacrifices to bring for everyone together. So yes, the purpose of the Mishkan is to atone for the Likkutei Egel, and if not on an individual level, for sure then on a communal level. Okay. Now, when were the Yidden informed about the Mishkan? It was the day after Yom Kippur, when Hashem said, Salachti Kidvarecha, when Hashem forgave the Yidden for the Likkutei Egel. The Yidden are forgiven for the Likkutei Egel, but how can the Yidden demonstrate? How can they show? How can they prove that they really regret what they did? And the answer is What was the problem? The problem was that they took gold with a lot of excitement and they created this egel. They created this golden calf. To show the regret, what they're going to have to do now is, with a lot of excitement, take the same thing, take gold, and run and use it for what? To build a Mishkan for Hashem, where Hashem's presence could dwell. This is how they show true regret for what they did, true teshuvah. Take the very same item that they messed up with and use it to make a Mishkan for Hashem. And they brought so much that it was too much. And Moshe Rabbeinu had to say, stop, it's enough. It was the only time in Jewish history where a rabbi said, stop bringing donations. Yeah, we have enough. We have enough. That was the only time.
Too much abundance,
Yeah,
more kugel, more take, more challah, yeah.
I guess it was too much. It was too much. Okay. To bring the I'm sorry, not to bring, to have the machas shekel taken from you, to be collected from you, that doesn't show that you truly regret the chet egel and that you truly want to connect to Hashem. Why? A, because it's an obligation. You have to do it. It's someone's coming to collect it from you. It's forced on you. And there's no way to show that you're interested. There's no way to show that you're eager and that you're excited. But but when it comes to the Mishkan, we want to give the an opportunity to give when they don't have to. And that will show that they really want to become close to Hashem. So Parshas Teruma is all about taking, collecting, obligation, commandment from Hashem. And as you said, if Hashem would come and command the people to bring the gold and the silver and all the materials for the Mishkan, as soon as it's a commandment, then you don't have the opportunity to show, you don't have an opportunity to show, to show your love and to show your commitment and to show your excitement. Here's a scenario. A boy and a girl are dating, and the shadchan suggests to the girl, maybe you should bring something on the date. Maybe you should bake something, bring something. Now, there's a problem with that. Because now, once you suggested it, you just ruined it. The girl feels you're commanding me, you're forcing me. But if the girl would think of it on her own and say, look, it's date number, whatever, date number 8, and we're ready, there's a certain comfort here. And on my own, I'm going to decide I'm going to bake my favorite cookies or whatever it is and bring it along. Now that is precious. But if on date number 2, you're going to suggest it before the people are comfortable with each other, that's something that has to come from you. As soon as you tell me to do it, the whole purpose was just what you wanted to accomplish. You're not going to accomplish because no, I don't know anything.
They told me I will print it and interesting, yeah, if they date number 5, maybe you should bring cookies. I'm like, what? Like, what is that? But now you just said whatever. Meanwhile, I had date number 3, and my husband was going away for Shabbos, and I felt like I wanted to send flowers to the host, because I thought it was so nice that they were hosting him. So I sent him nice cookies just to take. But when I heard this thing, yeah, like it brings a certain kind of something in the dating.
As soon as it becomes an obligation, you just defeated the purpose. Yeah.
But coming from you, coming from out of choice, there's so many the coming from out of your own choice. Coming from out of a choice, like that's something, there's so many levels to get there. So my question really is, can a person be guided there?
Yes.
And would that still be
Yes.
considered like I force them? What are the different levels that you're suggesting here to get you and it still fills the box of, coming from oneself?
Over here, the Irish that is guiding us, is telling us, if you wanna be generous of heart, you can give.
Are you saying,
He's also guiding
okay,
us.
I can hear that, but I'm wondering
But you see,
more.
that's a very good point. Only in Parshas Vayakhel, Moshe is talking to the Yidden. And Moshe is saying, Kol nadivli b'yivieha. If whoever is generous of heart should bring. So it's true. They are guided. Okay, so subtle guidance, but it's not in the same form of command. So again, yes, absolutely. There's millions of levels. Absolutely.
That's what I'm asking.
Of course, of course.
That's what it's leading to. But where else does it say that Hashem actually told Moshe? Or it was Moshe's? How,
I think it's also,
missing that
but
piece,
there's a
or there
difference between
isn't?
commandment and opening up the idea for someone to create their own
Right.
opportunity to give what they, like, if you say, bring cookies, it's a commandment, and say something like, the idea is when you make something, or you put some effort into something, you're on a date, the girl herself could come up with
I like
the
that.
idea of bringing cookies. But it's
I
when
like
it's a
that.
direct commandment is when I think it takes away the level of the diva, the level of your own heart.
Yeah.
Wow, okay, I really like that. That resonates.
This story I know actually personally actually happened. One of my husband's friends. So this goes back, a long time, over 20 years ago. So my husband and I, we were married, and Mushka was born, and we were, we were actually at my parents' house because Mushka was a brand new baby, and my husband's friend came by, and he was dating. And I guess he was speaking to my husband. He wanted some advice, whatever it is. And the girl that and then they were dating, and then during the dating process, he wasn't feeling good. He wasn't feeling good. The girl who was dating made soup, sent it with her brother to the dormitory, and gave it to, and he gave it to him. Anyway, that was that sealed that sealed it. And they're happily married and whatever. But I'm saying, then they weren't giving advice, that kind of advice that they give these days. But
Yeah, like for me, it showed how I cared. And then he didn't know what I was gonna say, because I said, before you come by, I want to give you something. He bought me a present. So we both felt comfortable, but it did push it to like, wow, she likes me and I like him. But if someone's gonna say, oh, by date number 5, you have to bring cookies because it means you're interested, then it makes the person so nervous when they get to date number 5. Oh my gosh, what if I don't bring the cookies? That means he doesn't want me, and he does want me, and what is going to the thing,
Good thing it wasn't clean Fridays, I'm in the kitchen.
Yeah, exactly. And if someone isn't going to the kitchen and they have a different creative idea or whatever it is, then be you, yeah.
When you're saying about volunteering or commanding, it teaches me also how we have to talk to our children, especially teenagers who don't like authority.
Especially 2025.
Yeah, exactly. That you have to find a way to get their own hearts to guide, subtle guidance.
Yeah.
Openers, soft openers.
Usually we celebrate the people who celebrate we're like, if we look at all the heroes and we're like, wow. But there is something about someone who was firm their whole life and they stick to it because being commanded to do something is.
Right, right, right.
There should be like,
Well, it's so much harder in a sense, okay?
it is harder to
Because-
be
yeah,
commanded
right.
and to do it by rule and.
Exactly.
And
That's why it says God belongs to the house.
What does that
Right.
mean?
Greater is the person that does what's told to do. You should also the enemy to that if you do it and you want to command it.
Can you explain more?
I mean, for example, by Abraham Avinu, why didn't he knew the whole Torah, why didn't he do it with me or by himself? Because it's greater to be commanded to do it, the greatest God. So therefore he waited till Hashem told him till he was 99 years old. So
And when you're commanded, it's absolutely much more difficult. Absolutely. Okay, but so today we're going to learn, yes, we're commanded, but then we're going to see that there's more, once you get the command, now it's your choice. Now it's your choice how you're going to do it. Okay, I could be commanded and I could do it because I'm forced. And there's another way. The other way is that I'm commanded and then I put my heart in.
where did the rigidness come from?
The rigidness is when
Where did the tight come from?
it's the commandment without the heart. Last night, Yafa and I were, and my girls, we were at the Shandy Plotzker concert in Brooklyn. There was a video. She said the video is that she was asked by, I think, Chai Lifeline to go and visit a little girl, Yael, was very, very sick in the hospital. And she went, and you just see her face is covered, but you see a hospital, tubes and a hospital room, and she was probably unconscious and very, very difficult situation. And Shane D. Plotzker sang for her, and she made her a promise. She said, I promise you, you're going to get better, and I'm going to come to Miami where you live, and I'm going to sing with you in Miami. And then the next part of the video is she's crying, and she's standing outside the door of Yael's house in Miami. And Yael is sitting on the couch. She looks very, very frail, and she gets off the couch and she gives her a big hug, and they sing together. And then she's on that stage. She comes on that stage, and Yael is on the stage with her in a beautiful white gown, with a beautiful crown on her head, and she in her pure little voice, they sing together. So talking about levels. The fact that Shandy Plotzker, that Chai Lifeline called her, and as busy as she is, and she's such a star, and the girls all love her, and she went to the hospital, wherever the hospital was, to visit. That's one level of heart. Next level of heart is to fly to Miami to visit her, and then to bring her on the stage, 3,500 women, to give her this little, how old could she be? 6, 7? To give her that, to give her that, to show the world what a gift, to show the entire world, to inspire 3,500 women that when it seems impossible, that Hashem can do miracles, and to show you the miracle in front of your eyes. What a gift for her, how she felt to be on that stage, and what a gift for 3,500 women who, no matter what they're going through, to be able to feel that there's hope.
That's what you mean about the collective.
That's what I mean about the heart.
The heart in the collective scenario.
So what I'm saying is
Single and you're doing both. Okay.
I'm not so much talking about the individual and the collective. What I'm talking about is sometimes you could have a command. Someone could call you and ask you to do something. You didn't think of it on your own. You didn't even know that this person existed. Someone could call and give you, okay, it's not a command, but someone could tell you, please do this. Please do this. And you could do it.
Everybody should please chip in. Every moment somebody showed up with 11 kids and a whitefish salad. You know what I'm saying? And then those and just bring and bring. So, yeah, you know.
That was
yes.
just a becomes a friend.
True, no,
And she felt that.
no
she wanted to-
judgment, but at the end of the day.
Yeah.
The question is, it could be that she brought the whitefish with all her heart. And if that's the case, then wonderful. We don't know. We're not here to judge. But the question is, is a command? Now what are you going to do with it?
Sitting in Shavuot and it's a very interesting family dynamic situation. Because the other side is very political and street and whatever, and my in-laws are just a mix of different things. And I'm watching one person in the other family just like having a really hard time with the fact that these two families are coming together. And I'm like, my sister-in-law who got married, she could very easily follow, let's say, my mother-in-law and sister-in-law's footsteps and not cover her hair. It would be so easy. And I'm like, she's looking at this girl and like, oh my God, like, I was just going crazy because this girl took her own money, bought wigs, like, she's the real deal. She's the real stuff. And I don't know, it's just like so hard to watch her like sit like judge and uncomfortable, and on the surface it looks different and not the
Some people
straight
can't,
and narrow.
some people can't deal with different. Some people can't deal with different. Hopefully, they'll be able to, you know, accept her.
I think I know where her brain's going, but I'm not.
What'd you say?
I said, I know where your brain is going.
Well,
Your brain is going like we're born like in the box. We're born very like
no,
kind of
she's
in our
a
laws,
very,
and you're
very,
looking at her as not that way.
no, it's a very strong contrast. You have a bunch
Yeah.
of people sitting in a room
That's
that
where
are
I'm
very
getting
in a
to.
box.
So what's your thoughts on that?
My
She was
thoughts
feeling
are
very
is
bad
that
and-
I reached out to the mother-in-law. It's also, but I'm like, I was the shopping.
If it's okay to say, yeah,
I
okay.
reached out to the mother-in-law. Really tired of my sister-in-law. Like, I didn't go
You
into
made the call.
detail, but
Wow.
I'm just like, you see the family, you see what it's like. You could see the path that she could have taken. It would have been
Wow.
so easy for her. She has value. She thinks about things. This is what I told my mom.
I love that. So like you're saying you put in so
And,
much heart.
Whatever,
Yeah.
just like this, you should know this.
I love
And
that.
that's what your son probably sees in her, and love her,
Wow.
accept her. I can't change her, but I'm just like, let me give you a little perspective. There's a
Okay.
girl inside here who you, like, yeah, her shito might be long, but she bought the shito with her own money.
Yeah.
Like,
Thank you.
and
I like that
it's
so
not, it wasn't given to
Yeah.
her. It wasn't, oh, my mother's taking me to this person, whatever. It's a given. She bought one full wig, one full, that's it. That's all she has.
Wow.
Everything that she does is she stood up for.
You said it's nice, but on it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
gorgeous.
But
And with her whole
love
heart,
that-
that's heart.
Yeah.
That's
And I
heart. That's,
see that.
yeah, so it's not just a commandment, Hashem commanded you to cover your hair, but rather there's a commandment to cover my hair. And although it's hard, and although I don't, although I don't necessarily have the support financially or emotionally, whatever it takes to,
You showing how to put it on. I'm showing her how to put it on. I mean, she come out of it. But like,
Can I just say that it's so impressive what you did? You picked up the phone.
yeah.
That's also
I
hard.
didn't call her.
Just
I
FYI.
sent her a message.
That's also
Amazing, amazing.
That doesn't fall under your umbrella, right? When you're saying the heart opener?
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. Absolutely. Sometimes you have to bring to people's attention, just look a little deeper, see what, don't take it for granted.
It's so hard because you saw it up right in your face, but you end up looking at that so many people are judgmental
Right,
about
it's amazing.
everything, and there's just so many things going on, and everyone's on a journey, and then people find what they could be judgmental about because they're not looking at their own journey. And they're not looking at their own, where
So
they're
true.
struggling, so like this, they just look at the next person. Oh, I have an easy covering my hair, oh, so now her shape's a little too long, or, you know, or whatever, or this.
I could very easily see the relationship, just not.
With the in-laws or with the.
No, my sister-in-law's new mother-in-law was just very cool to her, and I'm like, this is not okay.
100%.
Not
So
that
now-
it was my place to get involved, but.
Okay,
We're
so-
not gonna go there.
Okay, so now we're gonna go.
We're not graduating from this year anymore. We're not.
Two families together, go up and down the street and see how many people the mother-in-laws butt in and don't like them, and even when they pick them and they check them out a million times. So here you saw it as a different thing, because you saw how much your sister-in-law went and did for herself and her growth, and you were hoping that at least the husband's mother would appreciate her.
It was actually interesting because it's my brother's friend and it's my sister-in-law, and I read the shit out and I went directly through him. And if it like literally in the Hashemayim that it worked out, because if she would have gotten the resume, she would have been never would have happened.
Wow.
So that's why the judgment.
There was,
I love it.
and that's why she's
Love it.
struggling so hard because it's hitting her in the face
That's what I was gonna say.
now.
because
By the
that's-
wedding, by Shem Brothers.
That, because exactly, because she would have been judgmental before, and she would have went and let it happen. Now
So
that
holy.
You know, she's gonna inspire her husband's family.
Yeah.
I think
She
she had
had
a friend.
time, in the beginning sometimes, and then they see this
The real
daughter-in-law
true.
holy, and they can't get enough of them, you'll see.
This is
It'll
good.
come
This is
from
holy.
the heart, it goes to the heart, and when people are real, sometimes people are a little insecure and nervous to see it.
So
But
true.
when you see
This
how
is so
well she
holy,
is,
this
it's
whole
not
union
true,
that you just mentioned.
it's gonna affect them, and she's gonna have
I'm
to shine.
wowed.
It might take the
Wow.
time to hurt a little bit. But
I see it so many
I
times,
feel
and then the mother-in-laws, this becomes their favorite one.
She's probably having a hard time also letting go of her son after what the situation was.
Exactly.
before, but she, in a way, lost him, I think people who married.
You know, we're trying to say the value of heart is almost more than the value of a commandment, is that?
Big time. Okay, now let's
That's-
let's continue with this theme.
It's not, we need both. Mala says, no, stop, don't do.
Yeah, both we know
But
that.
then Rose
We've
says,
we've been
"But
doing
you know
that.
what, I wanna give you something Irish there," and he looks around and he sees a deer, you know? So he still did the mitzvah. Because it was a commandment. It was actually more of a begging commandment. And yet he still looked around, but what can I give you? Irish?
Right. So this exact concept, this exact thing, we see this again played out. Contrast Matan Torah with the building of the Mishkan. Same story, okay? Matan Torah is God comes from above down here. It's God driven. God comes from up there, comes down here, gives us the Torah. God elevated us. We were able to see and hear things that we couldn't ever hear or see. We were elevated to such a great level that the tumah, the impurity that was in this world since the time of Chet Eitz Hadas, from Adam and Chava, that impurity disappeared, was removed because of the greatness of Matan Torah. But then what happened? Matan Torah is over, and the very mountain, which if you touched, you would die when God came down on it, returned to become an ordinary mountain. And 40 days after the Jews witnessed God giving us the 10 commandments, they go and they serve a golden calf. How could that be? How could it be? The nation, the people who witnessed the giving of the Torah, God came down, and the thunder and the lightning and the smoke and the whole world was quiet, and they heard God's voice and their souls flew out of them. How could they go and serve the Egos 40 days later?
This the teva of a man is what the teva is of a person.
But
What are you saying?
that was the greatest thing ever. That was the greatest thing ever. Matan Torah. 40 days later, to go to complete.
Everything returned to normal. Then
So
like
it was just
COVID.
a flash of.
We're in COVID, we're
Yeah.
not gonna
Halavai.
make big
Halavai,
weddings, we're
but-
not gonna do this. we're not gonna-
Halavai, exactly.
We're back to
Halavai,
where
the
it
shadow
was.
the movement evolved. I mean.
What happened? What
I
happened?
don't know.
The revelation came from above.
Halavai.
It came from above. They didn't do anything. They didn't internalize it. It wasn't their work. It wasn't their effort. It didn't come from them. They didn't. It wasn't their idea to bring the cookies.
We're back on the cookies.
So that's why it didn't last.
Not suggesting you go to bring cookies.
All about the cookies.
Will be a good sign.
Muffins.
If a person is hungry, right? What's the expression? If you give a man a fish, then he'll be full for one day. But if you teach him how to fish, right, then he'll have that for a lifetime.
Really? Did you ever try fishing?
No. No.
Forget it. You're never doing this. You're gonna starve until you get a fish.
Depends where you go fishing. Slow fishes all the time here. You get to fish all the time here.
Yeah.
Parents, we're on the line to fish. She goes on the boat ride, like an hour into the water. Yeah, she sends me fish. Not that I
love it.
Basically,
It's still alive inside.
oh my gosh. If you teach someone a trade, if you teach someone, you teach them something, you change something inside of them, then you gave them a gift for life. Versus just, here's a present for one day and it's great for as long as it lasts, and then that's it. It's very temporary. Matan Torah was very temporary. So we had this concept of being forced. What happened with Matan Torah? There was such a great revelation, that the Yidden couldn't refuse. Going back to dating, right? If the guy and the girl are dating, and the guy is showering the girl with who knows what, gifts and trips and dinner and this and that, so much that she can't say no. Will you marry me? How could she say no after he did so much for me? It's very hard to say no. But it did, but the yes didn't come from. It was basically forced from, because she can't say no because of all the good that he did for her. It's not a choice. Same thing is with take a teacher in a classroom. The teacher could come in with a big stick and say, everyone better behave or else. The second the teacher walks out, everyone's jumping out of their seats and acting like animals. Versus if you train the kids how to behave, then the teacher could walk out and the kids could still behave at least for a few minutes. So this is the difference between imposing from above, showering with a lot of light, giving, and there's the person hasn't received it yet, hasn't taken it, hasn't accepted it, hasn't changed inside, hasn't incorporated it, hasn't internalized it inside of them. So that was Matan Torah. The Yidden had no choice but to receive it. It was all temporary. Whereas when you have a Mishkan, where the Yidden build it themselves from scratch, and they build it because they want to have a home for God to rest, that His presence should rest amongst them, that's a whole different story.
Who suggested they build it?
Hashem gave them the commandment, but yet in this commandment, there was opportunity and space for them to give donations with their full heart on their own. It wasn't just, you're obligated to do X, Y, and Z. Yes, there was the obligation part to bring Machzah Shekel, but then there was a space. There was space for them to come on their own initiative and to give with a generous heart. And that is the difference between the Mishkan, building the Mishkan, versus Matan Torah.
Almost I think in this world there's not so much space for that, and if there's so much protocol.
But who created the protocol?
I know, but there isn't so much space to just come and,
I'm thinking of Pesach. No, I'm thinking of Pesach, I'm making a beautiful table for the Seder. Everybody does whatever they creatively can to make, women are very good at that, and make everything as beautiful as possible. We go overboard with the food, with the beauty, you know.
But then again,
We
some
still
people,
have it.
there's protocol, but then, like, my mother had the saying, no robes at the table. You're going to the king, you go to your rebbe with the robe on, I don't care how much it costs, no robes at the table. That's what she used to say, and when the sister-in-laws go, well, you know how expensive? She goes, you're a certain type of chassidus, would you wear this robe to go into the rebbe for a yachidus, for a bracha? No, so that was one thing, she didn't care what you did. And she felt that she was setting her table for the king. Now, people are getting pretty paper plates and pretty stuff, so that's in my head, she always set the table for the king, she set the table for Shabbos also, and she didn't make it crazy, but. Is it protocol? No, now paper goods are beautiful, so it's what you're,
Right, everybody.
it's how much you accept that protocol, because if you're being ruled by the protocol. It's a little upsetting, so you have to kind of decide.
Are you
do the
forced?
mitzvah. You know, like you find it upsetting, can you imagine what your kids are gonna find already? So it's like, you have to find your way on who's creating this protocol, there's the mitzvah. And there's the mitzvah, and then there's the protocol.
I think there's the mitzvah and then there's the heart. I'll tell you, when my daughter comes for Shabbos, she doesn't come that often, although I wish she would come more. And when she comes, like when she leaves, I always like, I want to give her something, you know? So I'll frequently, just as she's leaving, hug, kiss, give her $100 in her hand, buy yourself something special, whatever it is. And it's Matzah Shabbos. She's about to leave. I take my pocketbook, I pull out a bill, I give it to her in her hand. She looks at me in the eye. She says, Mommy. She says, well, okay, Mirza Hashem, she's expecting Shavuos time. She looks at me in the eye and she says, Mommy, I don't want money. She says, when I have a baby, I want you. I want you to come to Morristown, to make me soup, to take care of Mendela. And she knows how busy I am. Some people, I know my mother, when I would have a baby, call my husband, get the cleaning lady every single day of the week. I'll pay for who knows what, whatever. Money is going to take care of everything, and it's very appreciated. But she looked at me and she said, she was saying, Mommy, I want your heart. Don't throw me $100 and say, okay, I gave her the money for extra hours to the cleaning lady. Now I'm exempt, I want you. Don't throw me $100 and send me away. Where is your heart? Where is your heart? I did suggest that, by the way. Listen, I'm saying, yeah, whatever. We're gonna have to figure it out. But I'm saying she planted the seed. She planted the seed. Don't think if you just get me more babysitting and more cleaning help, then you did your obligation. Whatever. So that's what I'm saying. You could have the mitzvah, and I could do the mitzvah with my hands, with my brain, with my with my talents. And then also I have to gauge, where is my heart in this? Where is my heart? Am I in it? Am I doing because I'm forced to, because I have to, because there's peer pressure or whatever, or am I doing it because this is what I want to do. This is where I am. I'm here to serve Hashem. Hashem, I'm giving you my all. I'm present. I'm here.
That's really wise. People feel peer pressure, and other people are calling it protocol, and people have to kind of, at this point, there is so much competitiveness, there's so much peer pressure, that people just have to find themselves. You have to find yourself. You can't even.
Here's what I'll say, you need your buddies, you need your support system, you need your tribe.
Okay, so you have your few people.
Just saying.
Yeah, exactly. You have your few people that are on the same level as you, and that you like to do the same type of things, and you want to do the same whatever, and that's it. And the rest of the people are gonna do the rest of, they're gonna do whatever, everyone's gonna do whatever they're gonna do anyway. And the people who don't have buddies are gonna be competitive forever. And the people, even with their buddies together, will be competitive with the other buddies. So you have to really find your happiness, because if you don't find it with your buddy, with a few people, you're forever going to blame it on the protocol, and you're never gonna get where you wanna be. It's gonna be this.
What's the point of having a beautifully set Seder table and the mother is wiped out and angry? What's the point? You missed the point. You missed the point. If a woman comes to the Seder exhausted, can't wait for her head to hit the pillow, the table could be beautiful, but I would venture to say that the husband would prefer paper dishes and a smiling wife, a calm wife. Who are we kidding?
Or less people, you don't think you have to have 40 people at your table, you can have, I'm a dishes person, you can tell, so.
Whatever, you know. Okay, we get the point.
Shut up this time party. I'm like, you could take care of it. You do everything for it. And for sure, you make it. But if I'm involved, then I'm gonna want it to be pretty, I'm gonna want it to be nice, I'm gonna want it to look a certain way. He did it, and it was fine. It wasn't pretty.
You stay out.
There was no aesthetic.
Right. So sometimes
There was no style, but
Yeah.
I knew I couldn't do it happily.
right. I'm with you. We catered Purim Thursday night, Friday. We catered it. I also. We have to be smart. Okay. Because the Parshas Teruma is all about what you have to do. V'yichlu, they're coming to the door to collect the money. Parshas Vayakhel is what we want to give, and Parshas Vayakhel is about our personal transformation. And we see this same idea, then one more change between Parshas of Teruma and Vayakhel. In Teruma, did I lose my paper? In Teruma,
I left my pad in the.
you want a paper?
No, I'm gonna rewrite it when I type it.
In Parshas Teruma, you know what it says?
The pad and the pie went back together.
Darab Neisal Vicholi Teruma, Me'es Kol Ish. In Parshas Teruma, it says, take a donation, take this Teruma donation from every man. Parshas Vayakhel, what does it say? What does it say? It says, Kol Adas B'nai Yisrael, every single Jew, which includes men, women, and children. And then it also says in Pasuk Chaf Beis, Vayavayu ha'anashim al hanashim. The men came along with the women. What does Rashi say? Along with the women. This means with the women and next to them. But the other explanations, and this means that the women were the ones who they were first. They were the primary ones to donate. The men were secondary to the women when it came to the giving. In Parshas Vayakhel, the women are mentioned. First of all, in two ways. It says Kol Adas B'nai Yisrael, all of the Jews, and it also specifically singles out the women that they gave that the men were secondary to the women. It specifically mentions the women, and it says, what does it say? V'chol isha. There's no isha in Parshas Teruma. In Parshas Vayakhel, you have isha. What does it say? Chaf Hey. Every wise-hearted woman spun with her hands, and they brought the spun yarn of the turquoise wool and the purple wool and the scarlet wool and the linen. And what does it say? This was extraordinary craftsmanship. For the women, they would spin them from the fleece on the backs of the goats before it was shorn from them. Such a special way of weaving that they wove it when the hair was still on the back of the goats before it was taken off. So that made it more fresh and special. So in Parshas Vayakhel we have the women, and Parshas Teruma we only have the term of ish. And what is the significance of that? Okay, now I lost my place. Okay. And now our question is, why is it? Remember, Truma Tetzava is a repetition of Vayakhel Likkutei. Why don't we find the women in Parshas Teruma? Why only Ish? And the answer is so it's not so it's talking at this point we're talking about the donations that were brought, and that could be equal to the men and the women. But why isn't in Parshas Teruma it only mentions the man Ish, and in Vayakhel it speaks about the women? Why aren't the women mentioned in Parshas Teruma?
They didn't participate in the.
But why? So then why does it mention in Vayakhel? The women are mentioned in Vayakhel and not in Teruma. So there's basically what we're seeing. What we're seeing here is Parshas Teruma versus Parshas Vayakhel. What's going on? We have this relationship, husband, wife, masculine, feminine, chas and kala relationship going on. Parshas Teruma is the masculine energy, is the mashpia, the giver, God commanding, God coming down from above. The direction is up to down. That's a mashpia, the giver. And then you have Vayakhel, that is the mekabel, the receiver. There the direction is bottom up. And that's why we have all these differences. So what were the three differences? Number one, in Parshas Teruma, it's all about take. It's command. And only in Parshas Vayakhel is you could come and bring out of the goodness of your heart. In Parshas Teruma is the man. In Parshas Vayakhel is the female. And then what was the other thing? Oh, when it says, Bnei Yisrael versus Kol Adas Bnei Yisrael versus all the Jews. Again, there you have the women, highlighting the women in Parshas Vayakhel. So what's going on? When we say Mashpia Mekabel, when we say the men and women, we have men and women down here on this earth, but that is just a mirror reflection of masculine and feminine up there. So the truth is that in our relationship with Hashem is the chassin, and all the Jewish people, whether you're male or female, we are all the feminine energy, we are all the kala. And because there is this dynamic of male and female up there, therefore we have male and female down here as well. But, and you could have females that have masculine energy, and you could have males that have feminine energy. So we're not whatever. It's easy to stereotype, but it's not limited to, it doesn't mean that every single male can only have masculine energy and no feminine energy, and vice versa. Sometimes we see females with with more masculine energy and males with feminine energy. But what is this dynamic? What's going on here? So in this case, when it came to Parshas Vayakhel, when it comes to donating from your heart, from the generosity of the heart, the women have an advantage over the men. Because this is our nature. What does it mean to be a mekabel? What does it mean to be a receiver? What does it mean? It means that you're given something and then you put your heart into it. And then you take it to the next level. A woman receives the seed, and then what does she do with it? After 9 months, she develops a baby and brings a baby onto this earth. So we receive, but then we take it and we bring it to a whole higher level. The 6 days of the week are the masculine energy, comes Shabbos is the feminine energy, and then from Shabbos gives birth to the new week. It's the feminine energy that turns around and gives chayis to the next week. So it's not selfish, taking. No, it's taking in order to bring it up to a higher level. It's whatever you gave me plus my heart. How much heart? Then that'll tell you how far you'll go. That's the feminine. The feminine is that we're able to take something,
Open up the space for it, maybe.
and to develop it and to make it greater. So here's an example. So yesterday we left the house at around 4:00. I left my husband with all the little kids, and I come home at 12:30, and the fridge was full, packed to capacity from all the leftovers from Shabbos and from Purim. I come home and I just laughed. What was on the table? A box of pizza. Because that's a man. A man is not capable of opening up the fridge and warming up something that's perfectly good. Because, well, I didn't tell him. I didn't tell him. He's very, very capable. He's very, very capable. But I was just laughing because a man, their nature is, okay, supper time. So it's easier to just go to the store and buy pizza than it is to put something on the fire or to put something in the oven. You know,
It's a logical explanation.
it's logical. So it just a woman could take leftover chicken, cut it up, saute some vegetables, and make a dish out of it. That is female energy. To take what you're given, to take what you have, to do something with it. You have leftover gefilte fish, make fish latkes. Do something with it rather than just buying something new, because and it takes longer to go to the store and buy the pizza than it is to turn on the oven. But we won't go there. But it's just it's a brain thing. So therefore, when it comes to giving with your heart, the women were on the front lines. They were first to do it, and they're better at it, because the men, yes, they're men, but really all the Jewish people, God is the husband, and we're the wife. So all of us, even men, are technically the kala. So we all, men and women, both have to be the mekabel. We have to receive from God and then take it to the next level. And that's why we have 613 mitzvahs where God commands, and then we take it to the next level. But within doing this avodah of being a makabel, of being a receiver, and taking what God gives us, taking the command, taking it to the next level, who has an easier time? The women. Because not only are we Hashem's kala, but we are also females. And therefore, this concept of putting in your heart and taking it to the next level is natural to us. While men need a command, women, what men need to be commanded, women have natural. For example, in the Torah, we have the mitzvah of pru urvu, which means that we should multiply and have children. This mitzvah is only given to the men. It's not a mitzvah. It's not a commandment for the women. And it's not because it's not our mission, because guess what? The men can't have children without us. But the reason is because for a man needs a commandment. If you didn't give him a commandment to have children, maybe he wouldn't think of it.
But some people would say, why is she micromanaging? How there's food there's open up the fridge, it's gonna attack you. And that's it, and then some people would say, you're micromanaging, you left at 4:00, and you think you will be able to manage without you. So you didn't put out the plates for them to eat at 6:02,
What we could get away with. Yeah. So you have to, you have to know where you are.
They're all, they're like.
Yeah. So for a woman, thank you for coming. A woman doesn't have to have the commandment to have children because she intuitively, this is her nature to nurture. She doesn't need a command to have children. The same thing was when God says, when it came to Matan Torah, it says to the women, Hashem said, speak gently. And to the men, speak more strict. So the interpretation that we always learned until now is, speak gently because the women can't handle strict. But the Rebbe says, no, speak gently to the women because the women only need gently. They don't need strict. They're happy to give their heart. Just give them a little nudge and they're here. They're happy to serve. It's not because they can't handle it. It's rather because all we need is kaisemar. We just need Hashem. We just need a little soft words and we're happy to show up. But this is the chiddush of the Rebbe. The chiddush of the Rebbe is Kaiser Beis Yaakov is that we just need a little gentle reminder. We don't need to be commanded because naturally we know how to be a receiver. We know how to accept. We know how to accept the commandment and to take it and to internalize it and to put our neshama into it. And to bring it to a higher place, to take the seed and turn it into a baby, to take the leftovers and to make it into a gourmet dinner. We have that. That's our nature. And a woman feels that her responsibility is to be the keres habayis, to be the anchor of her home, and she feels the responsibility for the continuity of the Jewish people. And the women did rise above the men. Not just in quantity, but also in quality. What did they give? Not only did they give their most fancy jewelry, but they gave, as he said, they gave their heart, they gave their talent, that they actually wove the materials, they actually wove it on the backs of the goats, which was incredible craftsmanship. And they gave their talent, they gave their whole heart. And also they gave something that was the most precious thing. What was the most precious thing from all the donations that the Yidden brought? And from all the donations that the women brought? You know what the most precious thing was?
Mirrors?
The mirrors. And what were the mirrors used for? The copper mirrors, the copper was used to make the kiyar, but the mirrors were used in Mitzrayim to make themselves beautiful so that they should be able to have children, to have tzivais Hashem, to have children and lots of children in Mitzrayim, because their husbands were like, who wants to have children? They were so burdened from all the back-breaking work. Who wants children? But their wives made them, they made themselves so beautiful to entice their husbands to have children with them. So and Moshe Rabbeinu said, who needs these mirrors? This is vanity. And Hashem said, this is the thing that's most dear to me. We could take the mirrors, the makeup, the nail polish, the hair, the beauty, the things that are seemingly vain, and we could take that and put our heart into it and use it for Hashem. And so in two ways, the women were greater than the men in that they brought in not just in quantity but in quality. They gave their whole heart. They took everything, the lowest of the low, they were able to use for the highest of the high, for a kiyar, to pure, so that the Kohen and the Kohen Gadol could purify themselves before coming to do that Vayit in the Beis Hamikdash. And Hashem says about the mirrors, Chavivin alai min hakol. It's dear to me, more precious to me than everything. What is the lesson for us? Some people might think that the main thing is, when it comes to kiruv, is to be makarev the man. If you're makarev the man, then it will affect the women and the children. However, the lesson that we learn is, and the person could think that it might be a waste of time to put in so much energy into the children, into the women. But rather, the lesson that we learn is that if you want to have the Shekhinah rest permanently, not just Hashem coming down the mountain and then Hashem leaves and the mountain could return ordinary and then you can have a Chelek Egel. You want Hashem to rest permanently forever in the Mishkan, and not just in the Mishkan then, but in the Mishkan, which is every single Jewish home. You want Hashem to rest permanently in every single Jewish home and in every single Jewish heart. The only way is you have to change the home and not just focus on the man. Of course, everything has to be according to halacha and according to Torah, but you have to also work with the women, teach the women, and to work with the children. And this teaching was said in a Vayakhel year, when men, women, and children would all gather in the Beis Hamikdash. And when we invest in teaching women and teaching children, then what we're going to have is that the Heishiv Leiv Avos Albanim, that the children will encourage the adults to return. And then we will have the true Vayakhel with the coming of Mashiach, which includes everyone, men, women, and children. And this is where, of course, the beautiful teaching that empowers women. But what the Rebbe did was the Chabad Rabbi and the Chabad Rebbetzin were co-directors. It's not that there's a Chabad Rabbi and his job is to, inspire everyone, but to give the women the torch to go out there and to inspire Jewish women, and that the women and to make the programs for the kids, and the glue and the scissors and the paper and the arts and crafts and the paint and the mess, to do the Hebrew school and in kids programs and Mommy and Me and all Baby Chino and everything else. All this is not something we should say, oh, that's secondary, but rather you want to have Shekhinah down here forever. You need the feminine energy. It's not that we're going to inspire the men, and then through that the family will come along, but rather you want to have a Beis Hamikdash, a Mishkan in every single Jewish home. Now it's going to come from the woman who's the Akeres Habayis. She is the anchor of the home. She's the one that sets the tone in the home. And the way to do that is specifically to inspire the women, to highlight the women, to reach out to the women directly. So obviously it has to be in a way of halacha, but that and the fact that women should go and teach and inspire other women. This is our mission. We're here today, women inspiring women. We all have the incredible gifts and talents from Hashem, and we could learn, we could grow, we could inspire, because at the end of the day, men are from Mars, and so we have our own language. We have our own, we see we're different. We have a different nature. And we celebrate our femininity. And we could, and it's not that we just need, masculine energy to come and inspire the feminine energy, but rather we have so much of our own. And the way that we can relate to each other as sisters is very, very special. So we don't have to wait for our husbands to be inspired in order for us to have a Torah home, but rather we have to we have to realize that the responsibility of establishing a Jewish permanent place for God to rest in our homes and in our hearts and in our children's hearts, that is our responsibility. And when we do our part, then for sure we'll sweep the men along. Yeah, but the Rebbe takes everything and turns everything upside down and highlights the feminine, what we can do and how special the women are. And yes, we need both. We have Truma, we have Vayakhel. Truma is the mashpia, and Vayakhel is the ability to take what you get, to transform it, to change, to be inspired, to internalize, and to give and to give it back. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dorit. Thank you, Sarah. Thank you, Kara, for being here with us. Have a wonderful day and a wonderful week. Pleasure. לא, אל תדאגי.